The cold in the cell wasn't just a temperature. It was a physical weight, pressing against my bruised ribs and seeping into the marrow of my bones. The exterminator's hose had done its job well. I was shivering so violently that the heavy metal collar around my neck rattled against its chain, a constant, dull chime that marked the passing seconds of my misery. Thomas Sinclair had left hours ago, or minutes. It was impossible to tell in a windowless concrete box designed to break the spirit of things that went bump in the night. He had promised legal hellfire, swore he would bring the full weight of the UN down on this backwater precinct. But Thomas was a man of laws, and I was currently in the custody of creatures who believed fire was the only law that mattered. My thoughts drifted, as they inevitably did, to Thiva. I closed my swollen eyes, trying to summon the image of her. Not the terrified girl screaming for her mother, but the Thiva I had come to know over the quiet evenings of the last month. The way her silver-tipped ears would swivel toward me when I spoke, catching every syllable. The way her tail would curl around her ankle when she was studying, a subconscious seeking of comfort. We had been dancing around something, hadn't we? A quiet, forbidden gravity. I was the predator, the monster in the guest room, and she was the prey who hadn't run. A sharp clang against the bars shattered the memory. I flinched, my instincts screaming at me to fight, but the collar yanked me back against the wall. 2 exterminators stood there, not the ones from before. These were dressed in full gear, reflective silver suits that gleamed under the harsh fluorescent lights. They didn't have the casual cruelty of the jailer, they had the silent efficiency of executioners. "Get it up," one of them barked, his voice distorted by the mask. "My lawyer," I rasped, my throat raw from the smoke and the screaming. "He said I'm to remain here until—" "Change of plans, Predator," the second one said. He unlocked the cell door with a magnetic key card. "Facility transfer. This holding cell isn't rated for a Class 5 threat." Class 5, I almost laughed. I was a software engineer from Chicago who liked gardening. They entered the cell. I tried to stand to offer some semblance of dignity, but my legs were numb. One of them grabbed the pole attached to my collar and jerked it hard. Pain exploded in my neck, white-hot and blinding. I stumbled forward, my bare feet slapping against the wet concrete. "Where are we going?" I demanded, though the words came out as a slur. "Somewhere you can't hurt anyone ever again," the lead exterminator said. They dragged me into the corridor. It wasn't the way I had come in. They were leading me toward the back exit, away from the intake desk, away from the cameras, and away from any hope of Thomas intervening. Panic, cold and sharp, pierced through the fog of my concussion. This wasn't a transfer. This was a disposal. As they shoved me out the back door into the eternal twilight of Venlil Prime, the humid air hit me. A heavy, armored van waited, engine idling with a low rumble. The back doors were open, revealing a dark, cavernous maw. I dug my heels in, adrenaline flooding my system. "No, you can't do this. I have rights." The butt of a flamethrower connected with my kidney. The world went gray. I fell to my knees, gasping for air that wouldn't come. "Rights are for people," the exterminator whispered, leaning down so his mask was inches from my face. "Not for monsters." They hoisted me up and threw me into the back of the van. I scrambled to turn around to fight, to do something, but the doors slammed shut, plunging me into absolute darkness. The lock engaged with a sound like a gunshot. Then the engine revved and we began to move.
Want to keep the flame ignited without having to wait for the next part? You can find the full, tantalizing tale on our main page. See the link in the description.